Have you ever stopped to think if it's really safe to leave all your money sitting in the bank? For decades, many people believed in this advice as if it were a golden rule. Keeping it in the bank is synonymous with protection. But the truth is that while you sleep peacefully, thinking your money is safe, inflation is working against you, and the bank is profiting from every cent you left there. Let's imagine a simple situation. You keep $10,000 in your account and don't touch that money for 10 years. It seems like everything is fine. After all, the number is still there, intact. But the reality is different. With an average inflation of 3% per year, in 10 years, those same $10,000 will have the purchasing power of only $7,400. In other words, you didn't lose money on the statement, but you lost value in practice. And while this happens, the bank didn't leave your money idle. On the contrary, it lent those $10,000 to other people with interest rates of 10%, 15%, or even 20% per year. It invested in safe applications, multiplied the value, and in the end, who worked to get rich wasn't your money, it was you. Because all the profit stayed with the bank. It's like giving a cow to your neighbor to take care of. 10 years later, you go get the cow and it's there the same way. But during all this time, the neighbor kept all the calves it produced. This is the big trap. Leaving money idle in the bank may seem like security, but it's just an illusion. In the silence of the years, you become poorer without spending anything. Many people think that investing in government bonds is something for millionaires. But the truth is that you can start with little and already feel the difference. They may even seem boring, but they work like a silent shield to protect your money. Think like this. Instead of leaving $500 idle in the bank, where inflation will erode its value year after year, you invest those same $500 in government bonds, paying 4% per year. It seems little, but it's constant, stable, and safe growth. At the end of 5 years, those $500 have already turned into around $600. It's not a fortune, but it's a real increase. While in the bank, that value would have lost purchasing power. Now, imagine repeating this month after month, as if it were smart savings. In 10 years, you not only preserve your money against inflation, but also build a solid financial cushion. It's like planting small seeds in safe ground. It may not bear huge fruits immediately, but you know that there the tree will grow firm, protected, and stable. That's why government bonds are one of the simplest and most accessible assets for those who want to start protecting and multiplying money without taking big risks. When we talk about real estate, many people immediately think of big mansions or expensive buildings. But in practice, the power of this asset lies precisely in starting small and thinking long-term. Imagine you buy a small plot of land for $5,000 in a simple region, but one that is growing. At first, it may seem like nothing much, just a piece of land. But over the years, the neighborhood develops, new houses appear, businesses show up, and that same plot can be worth $10,000 or even more. Or think of something even more accessible, a small $20,000 apartment financed. You pay the installments slowly, while the property, in addition to appreciating over time, can be rented and generate monthly income. Even if it's only $200 per month in rent, it's extra money that goes into your pocket without you having to work extra hours. Of course, real estate has its challenges: taxes, maintenance fees, possible market drops. But in general, over decades, they tend to appreciate and become a concrete way to build wealth. After all, there will always be demand for housing. Investing in real estate is like planting a robust tree. It takes time to grow, requires care and patience, but when it matures, it provides shade, fruits, and protection for life. Among all the assets that have ever existed in history, gold is the oldest and, to this day, continues to be one of the most respected. Kings, empires, merchants, and even modern governments use gold as a store of value. And do you know why? Because it's rare, durable, and doesn't lose importance even when paper currencies cease to exist. Now, you might be thinking, but isn't gold only for millionaires? No, it's possible to start small with affordable amounts. For example, with $100 or $200, you can already buy small quantities of gold in the form of coins, smaller bars, or even digital certificates that represent real gold stored in vaults. And why is this important? Imagine you had $1,000 in paper currency in the 2000s and kept it under the mattress. Today, with inflation, that money would buy much less than it did back then. But if you had bought $1,000 in gold, today that same gold would be worth more than $2,000. That is, while paper money lost value, gold doubled the purchasing power. Gold is like a vault that crosses generations. In times of crisis, when banks fail, currencies devalue, or governments change the rules, gold remains firm. Just remember that in many wars, entire families managed to survive because they had some coins or gold bars hidden, which served to exchange for food, shelter, or even a new life in another country. Of course, gold doesn't generate monthly income like rent, nor profits like a business, but it fulfills another essential role: protecting your wealth over time. It's like having a silent armor stored in the corner, ready to be used when everything around starts to crumble. That's why, even if you start small, with just $100 in gold, you're already building a solid reserve that resists inflation, financial crises, and even political changes. It's the type of asset that doesn't give great emotions in the short term, but that guarantees tranquility and purchasing power in the long term. Before continuing, I want to ask you something simple. If this content has made sense to you so far, leave your like and subscribe to the channel. This way, you help me bring even more tips like these and ensure that you won't miss any of the next videos. Now let's talk about a type of asset that, at first glance, seems like just a hobby or even a whim: collectibles and luxury goods. But the truth is that many of them have turned into investments that have outperformed even the stock market. Think, for example, of a rare watch bought years ago for $1,000. Today, that same watch can be worth $5,000 or even more, depending on the brand and exclusivity. The same happens with works of art. A painting bought for $500 at a local fair can, over time, gain value and reach $10,000 or more if the artist becomes recognized. And it's not just millionaire pieces. There are also small and affordable items that appreciate over time. Rare coins, old bills, collectible toys, classic vinyls, wine bottles from special vintages. Many of these items, bought for modest amounts, after a few years are sold for multiples of the initial price. Of course, this type of asset requires knowledge, research, and patience. Not every watch, painting, or vintage object will appreciate, but when you choose carefully and understand the market, you can transform something apparently common into a powerful patrimony. Collectibles and luxury goods work like hidden treasures, small objects that carry history, rarity, and desire from other people. And it's precisely this combination that makes them grow in value over time. That's why, if you like this universe, it's worth considering. It's not just a collection. It can also be a smart investment and a different way to protect your wealth. No matter how much technology advances, how much apps make life easier, and how much more digital the world becomes, there's a simple rule that never changes. Always have some cash money saved. I'm not talking about large amounts. Even $200 or $300 in cash can make all the difference in emergency moments. Think with me, just lack of electricity, the internet going down, or the banking system being offline for credit cards or cell phones to stop working. At that moment, it's physical money that guarantees a taxi ride, a quick purchase at the market, or even fuel for the car. That amount stored at home or in a safe place is like a first aid kit. You hope not to need it, but when the emergency appears, it's what saves you. However, it's important to understand, keeping physical money only for emergencies is smart, but leaving it as a long-term strategy is not. That's because paper money suffers from the same invisible enemy as always: inflation. The same $300 that today buys a good grocery shopping, in a few years may not pay for even half of the same list. Therefore, think of physical money as an immediate security tool, not as an investment. It's the lifeboat that helps you cross small storms, but it's not the ship that will take you far. Among all the assets you can build, few have as much power to multiply wealth as having your own business. And here, I'm not talking about creating a giant technology company or investing millions in franchises. Often, the biggest empires started with small, almost invisible steps. Think of Jeff Bezos. Before Amazon was a global giant, it started as a simple online bookstore operated from a garage. Howard Schultz from Starbucks bet on transforming the simple habit of drinking coffee into a unique experience. The result? Businesses that were born modest and today are worth billions. But what about those who don't have that much money to invest? That's where the beauty lies. Businesses can start small. You can use $200 or $300 to buy tools and offer a local service. You can invest $500 in initial stock and set up a small online store. You can start with something simple like reselling products, offering consultancies, or even creating digital content that over time becomes a source of recurring income. The secret of having a business is that it transforms idle money into an income generation machine. Unlike the bank, which gets rich at your expense, a business puts profit in your pocket. And most importantly, when well structured, this asset not only pays your bills, but can multiply and transform into financial freedom. Of course, having a business requires effort, discipline, and vision. But remember, every solid patrimony, at some point, was born from a simple idea, cultivated with courage. Having your own business is like planting a fruit tree. At first, you water it, take care of it, dedicate time and energy. But over the years, it starts to bear fruit every month, guaranteeing food not only for you, but for your entire family. Now we come to one of the most talked about assets of recent years: cryptocurrencies. Many call them digital gold, and there's a reason for that. Just as gold is limited, there are also limits on the number of digital currencies created. For example, Bitcoin, which can never exceed 21 million units in the world. This scarcity is precisely what gives it value. Cryptocurrencies don't depend on governments, banks, or borders. They work in a decentralized system, open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This means you can buy, sell, or transfer at any time without having to wait for business hours. But of course, along with opportunities, there are risks. The price of cryptocurrencies can rise a lot in a short time, but it can also fall drastically. That's why experts always say, enter this market with caution, invest only a part of what you can, and never put all your patrimony there. The positive side is that you don't need to start big. With just $50 or $100, you can already buy fractions of coins like Bitcoin or Ethereum on reliable exchanges. Little by little, you learn, follow the market, and better understand this new universe. Cryptocurrencies represent a different future, where people have more control over their own money without depending entirely on financial institutions. It's an asset that brings innovation, independence, and, for those who know how to use it intelligently, can generate impressive appreciation over time. In summary, they are not a complete replacement for traditional assets, but can be a powerful ingredient within a diversification strategy. Many people look at investments and think, this is not for me, I don't have enough money to start. But the truth is that wealth is not born from big leaps, but from small, consistent steps. Imagine saving just $5 per day. It seems little, almost nothing. But in a month, that's already $150. In a year, it's 1 to 800. And if this amount is directed to assets that appreciate over time, like government bonds, real estate, gold, or even cryptocurrencies, it stops being just savings and transforms into patrimony building. It's like walking every day. One isolated step doesn't take anyone very far, but the sum of thousands of steps can make you cross continents. In the same way, the habit of investing small amounts in a disciplined way can transform an entire life. Never underestimate the power of little, because little, added up and well-directed, is precisely what builds much. When we talk about building wealth, the most common mistake people make is seeking quick results. They want to plant today and harvest tomorrow. But the truth is that money follows the same logic as nature. Everything needs time to grow. Think of a fruit tree. If you plant an orange tree seedling today, there's no point in coming back tomorrow expecting to eat the oranges. You need to water it, take care of the soil, wait for the roots to establish. Only after a few years do the fruits start to appear. With investments, exactly the same thing happens. If you invest $100 per month in solid assets, you may not see a big change in the first year, but in the second, third, and especially after 10 years, the magic of compound interest starts to work in your favor. Money generates profit, profit generates more profit, and this positive snowball grows acceleratedly. To give you an idea, if someone had invested $100 per month for 20 years in an asset that yielded an average of 8% per year, they would have accumulated more than $59,000. That's starting from only $24,000 invested from their own pocket. The rest came from compound interest. That is, those who have patience and long-term vision see money work like never before. And here comes an essential point. Discipline is worth more than haste. Many start motivated, but give up when they don't see immediate results. However, those who understand that wealth is a marathon, not a 100-meter race, are precisely those who reach the end with financial freedom. That's why, change your mentality. Don't see investment as a quick shortcut to get rich, but as a journey. Every month you invest, every dollar you put in solid assets is a root you deepen. And the more roots, the firmer and more leafy the tree of your prosperity will be. In the end, wealth is not about speed, it's about consistency. Those who have patience harvest fruits that last for generations. Many people see their salary only as an arrival. The money falls into the account, pays the bills, little or nothing is left, and the cycle starts again the next month. But this is a limited view. The salary shouldn't be the end of the line, but the beginning of a journey. It's the seed you receive every month to plant your future. Think like this. When you receive $1,000, it's not just to spend and survive. A part of this amount should be used to plant. It can be $50, $100, or even less. But if this piece is directed to assets that grow, like bonds, real estate, gold, businesses, or cryptocurrencies, it transforms into trees that in the future will bear fruit constantly. The problem is that many treat their salary as if it were food. They spend it all at once and then need to wait for the next harvest. Those who get rich, on the contrary, treat their salary like a bag of seeds. They separate part to plant today and harvest in the future. This simple change in mentality transforms lives. Because over time, you won't depend only on what you receive at the end of the month. You will have built assets that generate income even while you sleep. This is what we call financial freedom, living off what assets produce, not just from the sweat of your work. Therefore, every time you look at your salary, ask the question, how much of this amount am I going to plant today to harvest tomorrow? This answer is what defines who will just survive and who will achieve true independence. Before putting the first dollar in any investment, there's something even more valuable you need to acquire: knowledge. Without it, even the best asset can turn into a trap. Many believe that lack of money is the biggest obstacle to investing. But in practice, the real problem is lack of understanding. How many people have you seen who earned a lot but lost everything for not knowing how to manage? And how many others, with small amounts, managed to grow because they studied, planned, and used intelligence in their favor? Knowledge works like a map. Imagine entering a dense forest without a compass and without direction. The chances of getting lost are enormous. Now, with a map in your hands, even if the path is long, you know where to go. In investments, it's the same. Knowledge shows shortcuts, warns about dangers, and helps choose the best paths. And here's the secret. Learning has never been so accessible. With $20, you can buy a book that changes your way of thinking. With a few hours per week, you can watch online classes, listen to podcasts, or follow educational videos. This investment in knowledge, which seems small, transforms into clarity to make decisions that are worth thousands of dollars in the future. Remember, money without knowledge is like a powerful car without a driver. It may have strength, but it doesn't get anywhere. Knowledge, even with little money, is capable of opening doors, multiplying results, and avoiding mistakes that would cost dearly. That's why, before investing in gold, real estate, bonds, or any other asset, invest in yourself. Because knowledge is the only asset that no one can take from you, and that appreciates every day that passes. Many start the financial journey full of energy. In the first month, they make plans, write down goals, feel determined. But over time, this initial flame diminishes. That's where the difference between those who just dream and those who actually conquer comes in. Discipline. Motivation is like straw fire. It heats up quickly, but goes out soon. Discipline, on the other hand, is like coal that burns slowly and keeps the heat constant. It's what guarantees that you continue investing month after month, even when it seems little, even when no one is watching, even when results haven't appeared yet. Imagine someone who invests $50 per month for 10 years without fail. At the end, this person will have put $6,000 from their own pocket. But if this money yields an average of 8% per year, the accumulated amount will be almost $9,000. It wasn't luck. It wasn't a big stroke of luck in the market. It was discipline. Now, compare with another person who invests $500 all at once, full of motivation, but then never applies anything again. This person's result will be smaller than that of the disciplined investor who was constant in the habit. Discipline is what transforms "one day I will" into "I did it." It's like climbing a mountain. Each step seems small, but if you don't stop, you reach the top. That's why don't depend on motivation to get rich. Depend on discipline. It's what guarantees that the future will be different from the present. Most people spend their entire lives worried only about paying debts. They work, receive their salary, and already have a list of bills waiting: credit card, loans, installments. It's like running on a treadmill. No matter how much effort they make, they don't leave the place. The key to changing your life is to change focus. Instead of spending your energy just trying to get rid of debts, start thinking about assets. Ask yourself, how can I transform part of what I receive into something that puts money in my pocket every month? For example, instead of financing a $1,000 cell phone, which will lose value in a few years, you could invest that same amount in a small asset. It can be a course that helps you increase your income. It can be starting a micro business. It can be even a small lot of stocks or bonds that will yield interest. The cell phone loses value. The asset, on the contrary, grows and works for you. Of course, paying off debts is important, but it can't be the only goal of your financial life. Those who focus only on paying bills never get rich. Those who focus on building assets, even slowly, create a future of abundance. It's like rowing a boat. Paying debts removes the water that's coming in, but only assets make the boat move forward. That's why the change starts in the mind. Every dollar you earn can be spent, can pay debts, or can be planted in something that will give you fruits in the future. The choice is yours. In the end, the big lesson is simple. Don't put all your trust in the bank. Idle money loses value, while banks continue to get rich. The true path is to diversify, learn, invest in assets, and transform every dollar into an ally for your future. Now, the decision is in your hands. You can continue repeating the mistakes of the majority, or you can choose to build freedom and security for you and your family. And if this content made sense to you, I want to ask you something special. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. It can be a friend, a family member, or even someone you know is stuck in the cycle of just keeping money in the bank. This simple attitude can open many people's eyes. And don't forget, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. This way, you guarantee that you won't miss any of the next contents that can transform your way of thinking about money and investments. Thank you very much for your company so far, and may this journey be just the beginning of a freer and more prosperous financial life.